Jordan, what is one misconception or what is a mistake that you often see business owners making?
Trying to go it alone, saying that, I have this idea. Just because I have this idea to sell this product doesn't mean that you're automatically now an expert in HR. It doesn't mean that you're the best hirer. It doesn't mean that you're best operational person. Trying to go it alone when there are so many resources that are going to help and support you. A lot of people have been down this path before.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Brand, a podcast where we take a deep dive and a look at what goes on behind the great brands that we love, the people behind it, the story behind it. And today's going to be a little bit different because we're going to talk about the brand of the Chamber of Commerce. And my guest today I'm super excited about is our local chamber president, Mr. Jordan Hankwitz. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Tony. I appreciate being here.
Great to have you, man. I've really really enjoyed getting to know you over the last, year or so. And I know you've had a chance to get to know a lot of people. And my hope is that through this conversation, we had a very pleasant conversation. As you know, we left the chamber.
Yep.
And after a conversation with you, I believed in the vision that you had, and we joined again. And, we've been trying to be as involved as possible. And so my hope is that people listening today get to know you and, enjoy the conversation as much as I did. And we get some new members, baby.
Yeah, I would like that. Well, thank you for the opportunity. When the invite came along, I think I RSVP'd in 4 minutes.
Yeah, you were like one of the,
dropped everything.
I think you were the first person to sign up.
Yeah.
So, and then like within 2 days, we booked out to like May. And so glad you got in quick and early. So this is officially episode 3 of this new version of the podcast that we're doing. So we're excited to have you on, man. So before we get really too far into this, why don't you tell us, tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Grew up in Leadington to a small business family. Had an HVAC company, still have it. Multi-generation for 60 years. My dad told my brothers and I that you got to move on and not take over the family company. Went to Michigan State, studied poli-sci.
Go Spartans.
Go
even
Green.
though it's hard for me to say that.
Yeah. We started as an intern in the legislature for my state representative, and then just kept moving up onto the about 10 years in partisan politics and then 10 years in nonpartisan politics. And that brought me and my wife together. That's how we met. And now we live in Langsburg with our 3 daughters.
3 daughters. I see on your socks. I don't know if anyone can see it, but on his socks, he's got his 3 daughters on there. You were telling me a little story before the podcast about something your wife does for you every Father's Day.
Every Father's Day, she gets me a pair of socks with my daughter's faces on them. So I get to curate the pictures. The picture that I want of each child from the past year that I get to put on the sock. I get to pick the color and then open them up on Father's Day and get to rep them.
That's cool, man. There's nothing like being a dad. And a girl dad is a unique thing. I have 3 boys and 3 girls.
Okay.
And it's so different. And it's, even in like coaching them and helping them through life, helping them with homework, all of it is so different with the boys and the girls. Both have their advantages and their disadvantages, but there's nothing better than being a dad. So, before we get too much into like work, I know you gave us a little bit of your background. I'm sure you're probably glad to be out of politics, as that's just a game I know a lot of people. We work with a lot of political candidates and people that are in office, and it's just such a tough world. But before we get too much into that, tell us about like hobbies, interests. What do you like to do in your downtime?
With 3 kids under under
downtime?
9, there's not a lot of downtime. My hobbies are their hobbies, and so my wife and I coach 6U softball. I know nothing about softball. I had to chat GPT. What are the rules of softball and how to coach a team? So I'm the assistant coach for our twins softball team. I think their hobbies are my hobbies right now, and then just family time, church, small group, our Bible study. Those are important things that we like to spend our time doing.
Very relatable. Very relatable. Yeah, when you're raising kids, it's like, that becomes the hobby. And, when it comes to coaching youth sports, the best ability is availability.
Yeah.
And so just you're doing the right thing there. I've had some of the best memories of my life just coaching my kids and learning the game alongside of them. So
today's episode is brought to you by AZEE Branding Agency, where we help grow your brand from A to Z. If your business is great but nobody knows it, you don't have a marketing problem, you've got a branding problem. At AZEE, We help you stand out with bold branding by creating websites, social media, video, and photography that actually gets noticed. Because attention is the #1 currency in business, and your brand deserves more of it. Learn more at azeebranding.com, and let's get your brand the attention it deserves.
So when did you start to get involved in the chamber? I know you said you had a background in politics, but I
Yep.
think you had some chamber involvement before the Shiawassee Chamber, correct?
Yeah, I've interacted with chambers of all sizes and shapes my entire career and even before. So having a small business family, like I mentioned, HVAC, but my stepmom also owned a restaurant. We were members of the chamber in Ludington, and so I was always familiar with it from that perspective. Started working in politics, campaigning, seeking the chamber's endorsement, and then getting into the legislative staff role where we're writing laws, working with not only our local chambers back home to figure out, hey, what is the impact on Main Street? What
Right.
is this going to do to our businesses in our region? You can write a law in Lansing and you can look at a spreadsheet and put a bunch of words on a page, but making sure that there's an impact and it's a positive impact for your local businesses. And then working with the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, which is just an absolute powerhouse when it comes to public policy.
Yeah.
So I've been around chambers my entire career before joining the chamber. I've just never been on this side of the equation.
Yeah. So what was it that made you want to take the leap from, being involved and seeing kind of how they work and having a very good firsthand knowledge of what a chamber is and does to, moving to Owasso and taking on the role of the president
Yeah.
of a struggling chamber, to be honest? I mean, very much struggling when you took over.
Yeah, it was a very deliberate decision. Leaving politics was deliberate for both my wife and I. Moving to Langsburg, trying to have a lifestyle that was more similar to where I grew up, where my wife grew up in Mason, Michigan, was very deliberate. Seeing the chamber job open up, I had flirted with it for a while. There was a lot of back and forth. It was what I consider to be a fixer-upper. It was a 123-year-old organization, but it had good bones. It just needed some TLC and it needed some guidance. Yep, and some vision. And so that was one of that went into my thought process and my wife's thought process. We prayed, we talked about it as far as my career and my trajectory. What am I doing? Where do I pay my taxes? It's in Shiawassee. Where do my kids go to school? It's in Shiawassee. To be able to help support the business community in Shiawassee for an organization like the chamber and to bring back, I think, the prominence of the chamber, that was an opportunity that was too good to pass up.
Yeah. Well, listen, when we started AZEE in 2015, one of the first things we did is get involved with the chamber. That's what they tell you when you're starting a business, get involved with your local chamber. At that time, Jeff Deason was the president, had some great meetings with him, actually had him. I think he was actually guest number 3 on my podcast back then. So that's kind of funny that you're guest number 3 on this one. So maybe it's, it's a chamber president's thing.
We're still in Win Play Show, right?
Yeah,
at least we're on the podium.
That's right. Exactly. So, Jeff did some great things. He had obviously transformed. They had a little building that sat in front of the Army, transformed the armory into a beautiful, the building that it is today, where the chamber currently exists. And of course, we were there at the armory for 3 years. It was really, I think AZEE is probably one of the best success stories because we started super small in there and that gave us the exposure we needed to grow and move on to a bigger space. So in true incubator fashion, it did its job, right? And then, Jeff moved on to Hawaii. I'm sure he's miserable every day out there. And the chamber went through kind of this lull of no president and an interim president. And, there was really there was a lot of great people that stepped in and tried to help, but without a solidified leader and a vision and a long-term plan, we kind of came to the place where when we looked at that bill every year, we're like, what is this doing for us? And is this something we need to do? And it was hard because it's like, you have to be part of your local chamber, right? But we made the decision to step away. And then we had heard that they hired someone new. When exactly did you start? What was the
August 12th, 2024.
2024?
Yeah,
right.
It was one day before a chamber AM,
Yeah.
so I just jumped in.
Jumped in,
yeah.
right. So we had heard about that, and then, like I said, we met with you, and we've tried to be as involved as we can, helping get people excited. We did the rodeo roundup or whatever that thing was, getting new members, and you guys have done a lot of good things, and I've seen some improvement. But I think there's still a lot of business owners that are out there, and let's be honest, in the economy that we're in, with the unpredictable, rates of everything, business owners are really trying to qualify every dollar spent. And so when it comes to the Chamber of Commerce, before I get into the why, maybe you could explain for those watching. We have a lot of business owners that watch the show. What exactly is the role of the Chamber of Commerce, and how does it help a business?
Yeah, well, that's something that's evolved over time, right? It was very different 124 years ago, and then it was very different pre-COVID. It was very different pre-social media, and so that's an evolution process, and it changes, and it has to change with the times. That we are a member-driven organization, and so we need to be responsive to our current members and prospective future members. I think right now where we want our role to be is a facilitator, a connector, and a supporter, somebody that can help get you the resources that you need as a business, as a nonprofit. We have local government, we have schools, we have education, trying to make those connections in our community and facilitate those connections to get folks to where they want to go together.
Yeah, I think people have this concept that the chamber is supposed to help them grow their business. And we get that here too, right? And because our role is to help people grow their brand. But the primary responsibility to grow your business falls on you, the business owner. And I think a lot of people, especially when things are tight or when they're trying to qualify dollars spent, they're trying to say, what have you done for me lately, right? So, in simple terms, what would you say the chamber specifically does? And like I said, we get this question here too, but what specifically does the chamber do to help businesses grow?
I think it's the networking is a big part of what we do, and a lot of times when I have conversations all the time where folks are looking at their bottom line and they're saying, "What's my ROI? What's the value for me?" And I'll ask, what was the last event that you came to? What was the last thing that you participated in to help your business grow? And they're like, "Oh, well, I haven't. I don't have time, or I've got this, or it doesn't work for my schedule." And it's like, you're probably not going to get a whole lot out of it if you're not willing to put anything in, just like anything in life. And so I think networking is a big part of it. I think access to educational materials, and those are business materials. So we partner with the Small Business Development Center. They have a whole host of free tools that you can go on, and people sometimes don't even know it. And they can learn about HR. They can learn about all these different things. Access to other organizations, the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, we're a member. Our membership confers a pass-through on certain benefits to the members that are part of our Chamber of Commerce. So when something is happening at a state level, at a federal level, at a regulatory level, we can get information to our members. We can get toolkits to our members to make sure that they're up on those types of things. And so those are some of the things that I would say are the benefits, the value of how businesses can grow.
Yeah, well, and I would say this, as a business owner, I get it, that sometimes going to a networking event, it seems like maybe a waste of your time or maybe not your favorite thing to do. But let me just tell you, like for us, when we are involved in the chamber, and of course, we're members of the Shiawassee Chamber, the Genesee Flint Chamber, the Grand Blanc Chamber, the Fenton Chamber, and we try to be as involved in all of those as we can. But let me just say, like when we are involved and when we're going to networking events and when we're taking access or using access to the educational workshops and different things, not only is it a benefit to us just in terms of what we learn, but it keeps us top of mind.
Yeah.
It keeps people remembering that you exist. It always ends up in a good conversation. Not if you just go sit and leave. You need to talk to some people while you're there. But if you take advantage of it, and if you can't go, maybe get an employee that likes to do that and go, but keeping your business in the conversation at the top of the mind, and that's where the business owners are. And so staying there is a huge benefit to that. And so I agree, like you only get out of it what you put into it. So I know you said you want to be a resource to businesses. And so I'm sure you get calls about how to handle this or this new regulation or this new tax or this new minimum wage increase or HR questions. And so I guess I want to ask, what are some problems today that you're focused on that are that you see business owners dealing with right now?
I'll start with what were some of the problems at the end of last year, and that's kind of shifted. Not that it's not a problem, but I think that we're all getting acclimated to it. The earned sick leave is something that was very, very onerous for businesses, and then they split it out as a will they, won't they? Is it going to go through? Is it going to stick? Are they going to change it? Kind of an 11th hour change. They split it into small businesses and then larger businesses, and so just educating our folks, especially our sole proprietors, people that own a restaurant. There's 3 of them maybe. They have to implement this policy. So does Meyer. So do the Z, other major corporations that have these departments that can handle it. So how to get them access to that information. And that was a big priority of ours. I would say right now what I'm hearing from our members is workforce development. How are they tapping into a market to get the younger people that want to come, but also want to stay? How do they get folks like that? The people are not doing what they used to and working a job for 30 years, 40 years, getting a pension and retiring, right? There's a lot of moving around. How do you get them in? How do you keep them here? How do you make sure that you're giving them what they need to be successful, but also fulfilled from an employment? So workforce development is an area that I'm really looking at and focusing on, of how do we try to make connections with, we've got a phenomenal college. We have a great career tech center. Public schools are phenomenal in our county. And so how do we put all those pieces together with our business community to try to create this pipeline?
Love it. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Most of us business owners are really just figuring it out as we go, right? Like, I don't have a degree in what I'm doing now. My degree is in pastoral ministries, and so it doesn't really benefit me a ton in this industry, maybe other than the people skills.
You seek a lot of patience,
right?
I mean,
patience, seeking God's help every day. Like, those are some great things, but so every day we're just figuring it out. And even those of us who appear to have it together, it's always funny to me, the people that assume that we have it together here, and we're a mess, we're figuring it out. But the chamber is a great resource when something like that happens. I remember during COVID, there was so much happening, and the chamber was such a great resource of how do we handle this? What does this work? What does this look like? PPP, EIDL, all that stuff. And then even there's been times here where we're like, workman's comp, how do we do this? Who do you recommend? Putting us in touch with other chamber members has been really great. Jordan, I want to give you an opportunity because, like I said, when we sat down, honestly, I think I dodged you 2 or 3 times when you were trying to get with me early, because I was just like, I'm over it. I'm like,
you got a business to run.
I got other things to do. And I'm so glad that we did sit down, and I apologize for, dodging you. It was intentional, and it was nothing to do with you. It was just my past experience wasn't great. And so I wanted to know, I'm a big vision person.
Yep.
I'm a big vision guy. There's a verse in the Bible that says, where there's no vision, the people perish. And I think every business owner, every organization should always be working towards something, or you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
And the target might move and change, but you should still be working towards something. So I wanted to know from you, what's your vision? And I got really excited about it. And we've talked multiple times about doing a video.
Yeah.
But I've heard you share it in public forums, but I want to give you the opportunity to share with our audience, like, what is your vision for the chamber and how it looks and plays out for you?
Yeah, I think to build that vision, I couldn't come in on day one and just cast the vision and say, this is where we need to be, right? I needed to understand where we came from and where we were first. And there was a long story there. And it took me months. And I'm glad that you dodged me at the beginning, because I wouldn't have had that vision. And so I met with a lot of our members. I met with members that had left. I met with members that had stayed on. I met with members that had never joined. I met with people that didn't even know who we were or what a chamber was. And so I synthesized all of that, and I created this. I'm a litmus test guy. I like to be able to hold things up and say, up, down, black, white, yes, no. Does this pass, go, collect $200? And I created what I call the ACEs test. And so the ACEs test is the compilation of all of those conversations I had with folks of what should we be doing? What should we be prioritizing? We, as a chamber, have a finite amount of resources, a finite amount of time, just like business owners do. How do we make sure that whatever we're doing, we're achieving one of our objectives, hopefully, if not more than one? So what ACEs stands for is advocacy. I think that we are not a political chamber, but we need to be able to advocate for our members as well as the business community, the nonprofit community. We have a very healthy membership of nonprofits, and we need to teach our folks how they can advocate for themselves. That's a really important tool that we don't want to lose in our form of government. C is for connecting. That's the networking component. We want to make sure that we're able to make connections, whether it's at a Chamber AM meeting or people call me and say, hey, I'm looking to do business with so-and-so or someone in this field. Do you have any recommendations? I'll shoot out an email to a bunch of our members and say, hey, someone's looking to have a cup of coffee. Anybody that wants to connect with them, here's their information. And those leads are really helpful. So that's A, that's C. E is educate. What we talked about with the earned sick leave, making sure that there is opportunities for education. I can't write a legal brief on that policy specialty and do a very good job. And I can't afford to pay a lawyer $750 an hour to do it,
right?
but we are part of organizations that can do that, and we're
Yeah.
able to take their information and get it in the hands of our members. And then S is the catch-all, support. We're here to support you, and it's different every day for every different member. I've had folks that have walked in my office that said, "Hey, I'm looking to start a new business. What do I do?" And we just sat down and I put out a list of contacts that they need, people they need to call, a sequence that they should call them in so they can start getting help, keeping that dialogue open with them, and they come on board as a chamber member eventually. But they have resources and a support system, whether it be the downtown business association, whether it be small business development center, economic development partnership. There's a lot of resources. It's just a matter of helping people wade through the minutia.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think that's great. I love that it's accurate, it's succinct, it's easy to explain, it's easy to remember, and I think it's a good encapsulation of what the chamber does and should do. So I want to give you the chance, in your own words, your little elevator pitch, and you can look into that camera if you want, so you can talk right to the business owner. Why should someone join the chamber today?
The chamber is only as good as our members. And so we want a diverse group of members of industries, for-profit, nonprofit. We want to be able to support you. We want you to help us shape who we are as a chamber of commerce, because we're constantly evolving as a member-driven organization. And so we're looking for your support, because we don't exist without you. We want to be able to support the entire business community, again, nonprofits, schools, local governments. We need your help to do that. We need your voice to do that.
So share with us, before we move on, I want to talk a little bit about some of the things you've learned over your career, some things that you could give us that would, help other entrepreneurs watching this. And, my vision for the show here is to, number one, give businesses and organizations just an opportunity to share their story. I think behind every successful brand, there's a person, there's some people, there's a story, and I'm always intrigued by it. And so I want that. But number two, I want to glean in your years of experience. I'm sure you've gained some knowledge and wisdom that I hope you'll be willing to pass on to other people. And so before we move that though, share with us a story that you have, a chamber success story, if you will, where the chamber has really been a benefit to a business.
We have a young entrepreneur that owns L&H Vending. It's a vending distributor business, and they put Coke machines and Pepsi machines out. They came to a Chamber AM. It was their very first Chamber AM, and they got to stand up, tell who they were, what they did, where they were looking to make connections and whatnot. They walked out of that meeting with a meeting scheduled with folks that own the armory and manage the armory, and within a month they had 3 vending machines in the armory. Now, as a resident of the armory, it was really nice to have vending machines in there when I need to grab a pop or a Snickers, but also for that young entrepreneur to be able to have a space where they could facilitate and have a conversation with somebody that they would have probably not met in the wild, and then to have a deal that came out of it that was mutually beneficial. It was a win-win for everybody, and it was just one where it was like, this is what it's all about. This is what we should be doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, so I really want to just kind of, round off the episode today talking, a little bit about you and some advice that you might have, leadership. So, I guess from your perspective, Jordan, what makes a strong and healthy business community? Not a business specifically, but what makes a strong and healthy business community?
I think coming from politics, I learned a lot of what not to do. Politics was a zero-sum game, and I thought life was a zero-sum game. And coming into the chamber and the business community, it's not a zero-sum game.
Right.
Everybody can win if we work together. And so I think that is one where helping your fellow business, helping your fellow nonprofit, helping your neighbor, right, from a biblical sense, just helping those that are around you. Rising tides lift all boats. And so that was one where that was a stark but very welcome difference for me, that this game is not a zero-sum game.
100%. So what would you say, along the way of our journeys, there's always some people that help us.
Yep.
No one ever got there by themselves. And if you're trying to get there by yourself, it's going to be a big uphill battle. So take advantage of the resources around you, like the chamber and other business owners and podcasts and books and all those things. But along your journey, what is the best piece of leadership or business advice you've ever received?
Again, going back to, I spent 20 years in the political realm, and I learned very quickly from my first boss and my mentor that people are okay with you disagreeing. People are okay with you saying no. People aren't okay with you lying. If you lie, you will always be a liar, and you can't come back from that. And just if you don't agree on something, whether it's a business deal, whether it's a vote on a bill, just let them know, and people respect that, and that's okay. And I think that in our culture, it's very hard for people to feel like they're disagreeing with somebody or saying no, but I think it's very welcomed from who you're speaking with.
Well, and I think that the real part of that is, as business owners, you always want to keep up appearances, or you want everyone to think business is booming, business is great. And that can get exhausting. Sometimes it's good just to be honest with people. This past year, we took a huge step back. And, even as recently as the other day, people are like, oh, you only have that many people working for you? At one point we had 20 employees.
Wow.
And, we created this giant cash eating monster. And, as I learned, and as I learned a lot of what not to do, and learned a lot of what to do, and realized what I really wanted this thing to be. And as the vision changed, I realized sometimes the best way to take a step forward is to take a step back, right? Quarterback, before he throws, he takes 2 steps back and then 1 step forward. And sometimes that's what business is: a little few steps back and maybe 1 step forward. But, just the fact that I've shared with so many people some of our struggles and just been honest about that and some of the things that we've done wrong, it's almost like you see the business owner like, oh, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
We're all struggling in some way. Like I said, we're all figuring it out on our own all the time. And so, be honest with people, not just about what you're doing for them in terms of services and products, but be honest with where you're at and be vulnerable. And of course, obviously, we have to stay positive and paint our business in a positive light. But that ability to just be honest with people is such a good thing.
If I may, Tony, that 2 steps back, that's something that I got through 1 full year. I call it 1 revolution of the chamber. I did every one of the events the way that they were presented to me and I inherited. I have a very, very collaborative and supportive board. I went to them at the end of last year and said, I want to do something different in 2026. And I call it addition through subtraction. We are going to have less events because of the time and the energy it takes for a small shop, but each one of them is going to be a better event. We're going to focus our attention on the things that we're doing well, and we're going to do them better, as opposed to, we always had 11 chamber AMs, so we're going to have 11 chamber AMs. Right. It's like, no, we're going to have 5 chamber AMs, and they're going to be really good, really big chamber AMs. And so that's something that, sometimes you got to take a step back, or like I say, addition through subtraction, sometimes taking things away to make what you have better.
Absolutely. Yeah. More focused, right? Streamlined. So what are the events that you guys are doing this year?
We are not going to be doing the 5K this year. We're taking a pass on it as far as just our overall calendar, where it fits and who we are, our ACES test. It just wasn't necessarily aligning, and so we chose to take a step. We chose to take a step back. I think that it could possibly be resurrected or come back in the future with some different partners that maybe are a little bit more aligned with a 5K, a Chamber of Commerce and 5K that just doesn't really match. Business Expo is back, so April April the 11th. We're going to do 1 day. That was by popular feedback from our exhibitors that said Saturday was great. We had a hard time getting enough traction on Sunday. I don't want to bring you out there on Sunday if we're not going to have enough people walk through. And so that's coming up. Annual dinner this year. Last year you were there. We were at capacity. We literally could not sell another ticket because the fire marshal wouldn't let us have more people in that room. And so we're going to have to look at what does the evolution of that look like? What does that become? We've got a big event that's coming up this summer that's not ready for prime time to share, but I'm looking forward to sharing. We're planning on bringing a few thousand people into the downtown area, and we want them spending their money here and seeing how beautiful and awesome Owasso is. And then we've got our annual golf outing. Last year was a huge success. We had a great golf outing working with the country club, our partner. It was a really good event that I think we're going to be able to build on that momentum for the future.
And we're really proud because we got second to last place in the golf outing last year. So we were hoping for last place, but we
You let me miss one of your putts. That's probably why, right? That was the shot.
Yeah. Jordan, what is one misconception, or what is a mistake that you often see business owners making?
Trying to go it alone, saying that, I have this idea. Just because I have this idea to sell this product doesn't mean that you're automatically now an expert in HR. It doesn't mean that you're the best hirer. It doesn't mean that you're best operational person. Trying to go it alone when there are so many resources that are going to help and support you. A lot of people have been down this path before. Try to glean information from them. I want to try to connect you with them. And so, you're not in it alone. Everybody, I say, is, we're not all in the same boat, but we're definitely in the same storm. So how do you glean information from those that have been there before, that know
I've seen similar storms? Yeah, absolutely. Well, a final question about this, and then we're going to move into our final segment of the show called Say It in 60, where we're going to take 60 seconds to glean the last little ounces of information and knowledge from Jordan Hankwitz. But just practically, what do you want everybody watching to know about the Shiawassee Chamber?
That we're here, that we're looking to grow, and that growth means that we're able to better support our businesses and our community. And when we're better able to support our businesses and our community, we're able to grow more. And so it's this uplifting, positive spiral. And so we're here, we're open for business, we're growing. We brought on 80 new members last year, and we're looking to continue to grow, while also being responsive to our membership and those that make up our membership.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for sharing that. Like I said, the final segment of the show is a fan favorite. It's called Say It in 60.
Okay.
So Micah is going to put 60 seconds on the clock. I'm going to ask you 10 rapid fire questions. And if you answer all of them in 60 seconds, you go home with a green hat that says Chamber Expo and a coffee mug that says Chamber that you brought here originally.
Perfect.
So you get bragging rights because not everybody can make it through. But let's see if you can do it. Micah, are we ready? All right. The timer starts now. Favorite hobby?
6U softball.
Favorite place you've ever been?
Florence, Italy.
Favorite food?
Tammy's Bakery sausage, biscuits, and gravy.
A must-read book?
Not In It to Win It by Andy Stanley.
Favorite podcast?
Your podcast, Tony.
Oh, thank you so much. A daily habit everyone should do?
Practice gratitude, thankfulness for everything we've been given by our Creator.
A must-binge TV series?
Paradise.
Okay. In your opinion, what will help your brand grow more? High-quality photography or high-quality video?
Photography.
Great website or great social media presence?
In this region, social media.
10 seconds to answer. What does success mean to you?
My kid's getting into heaven.
Hey, I love that answer. That's a great answer, Jordan. Oh, he did it. Studio audience, round of applause.
How many seconds did I have to spare? Second to spare?
1 second to spare. Jordan, you did it. Say it in 60. Hey, man, this was fun. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. I'm excited about what you're doing. And, of course, as always, if there's anything we can do to support you and help you, looking forward to Chamber AM coming up next weekend, right?
Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. So we're signed up and ready to go. We're excited about it. Looking forward to see it. First one of 2026. And excited about the events we have coming. Before we go, I want to give you an opportunity to look into that camera one more time. Tell our audience where they can find you, how they can connect with you, how they can get information if they don't already have it.
Yep, ShiawasseeChamber.org. We're on Facebook. We are very accessible. We're right on the main floor of the Armory. Stop in, say hello. We get a lot of walk-in traffic, but look us up. We would love to connect and learn more about you and how we can help support you.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks again, Jordan, for doing this, and I really appreciate it. And thank you guys for watching. And if you're not a member of the Chamber, and if you're not from Shiawassee County and you're not a member of your local chamber, I highly recommend that you look into it. Again, you only get out of it what you put into it, but there are great benefits and tools to a healthy chamber that's doing good things. So I highly recommend here, get involved with the chamber, get to know other people, and utilize the tools that they have. Thank you for watching Beyond the Brand. And remember, as my mother always says, you can't and never could until you tried. So go out there and try something great, my friends, and don't take the easy way out. We'll see you next time.
Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. We want to connect with you. Drop a comment, share your thoughts, and let us know what guests you want us to have on the podcast. Follow us on social media for more branding insights, and thanks for watching Behind the Brand.